Thank you, Dr. Nader, for an absolutely fascinating talk. So I have three observations based on what you said, and these are really my three takeaways. And the first one is there is a unified theory of consciousness, and it was established or talked about in Vedic sciences, but there is now a more modern scientific interpretations, or different fields of scientific observation are coming to the same conclusion. The second thing that I took away from your talk is that you can tie it back to practical everyday living, everyday wisdom, and even find solutions to our day-to-day problems. And you talked of meditation as a way of finding harmony within the individual body, and just allowing your body, brain, breath, and so to speak, consciousness to be in harmony. And the third thing you said in terms of tying it back to everyday practical wisdom and living is how when people are connected with this unified theory of consciousness, there is more harmony at a social layer. And the third thing that I took away that is very heartening is how much of scientific evidence-based research now exists to what has always existed in the ancient wisdom traditions. But for a lot of people, it only becomes accessible if it is backed by scientific traditions. So, Dr. Nair, yeah, the three questions, and I'll just lay all three of them, and you can answer them somewhere along the course of the next few minutes. The first is that give me some practical 3 to 5 steps on how do I use this theory for my well-being, for my happiness. So that would be my first question. Do you have a way of summarizing it into a few tips? People always like leaving a talk with saying, here are some things they can apply. The second question I had was, you mentioned your book is called One Unified Ocean of Consciousness, which is fantastic. And how do you use that to explain the sense of separation that exists in the human condition? Why do we otherize others? Why is there acquisitiveness, competitiveness, if it is one unified ocean of consciousness? And in the extreme case, why is there violence between human beings? Is the question that I often ponder about. And my third question is this. You are a physician, and physicians operate in the realm of the observable universe, the body, the brain, and to some extent psychology, emotions, thoughts, etc. The minute you talk about consciousness, it gets into metaphysical, and a lot of people could dismiss it as woo-woo. And I'm sure you face that during your talks. How do you reconcile the two and take what this concept of consciousness and tie it back to modern day scientific fields like medicine and physics, etc. Thank you. Thank you for a fascinating talk. Very thought-provoking.
Wonderful. I'm very impressed with your summary. Just 3-4 words, and you said it all. I felt like I might have been rambling when I heard your beautiful summary. But it is necessary sometimes to, of course, expound on some points so that we see it as really not just a dogma, but there is some logic to it. Recharging the well-being happens when you give a chance to the physiology to clear itself from its own stresses and strains. We are free, and this is one of the aspects that are important in the equation of decision-making and reasons why there are problems, which comes in the second question. But our freedom allows us to make choices that sometimes are not ideal because we don't have the full understanding and the full awareness of where to go and what to do, what to eat, what relations to have, what business to create, when to rest, when to work, etc. And so there are these factors that enter in due to our freedom. And because we have freedom, we can make even wrong decisions. So freedom has two sides to it. We are not robots, we are free individuals. And when we make a wrong decision, we accumulate stress and strain, be it physical or mental, as we can look at it from physical being the body and mental being the mind and what we are calling consciousness, although we are saying that even the body itself is consciousness, but this we can hold on for a little while. So truly what to do? First, follow a good routine, take care of your body, of your physiology, of proper nutrition, things that you know are good, and make decisions when you are rested. Don't make decisions when you are tired, when you are fearful or exhausted. Take a time off, take a time back, and know that everything is relative, that things can happen, but that you can change them, that the purpose of life is to grow in happiness and therefore be full of hope. And most importantly, practice transcendental meditation. Of course, that's the technique we teach in our organization, but we teach it and we do it not because we are just having a business or something like that, because we believe in it, because we have tried it, because it has been successful, it has been shown to work. And what it does is allow the mind to rest. As the mind rests, the body rests. And when the body rests, it gets rid of its stresses and strains. And we have seen the removal of stress and leading to a better functioning of the physiology. So everything is reversible. Practice these techniques regularly, have a good routine, in general, as general points, and you will see that life will grow in fullness. You are clearer in your thinking, you make better decisions, and then you are exposed to less stress as you grow. The separation, the competition, the violence we see in society is again due to fear and misunderstanding and bad decisions. It brings us back to this feeling and this idea of freedom. Now, consciousness is all there is, but we talked about the unmanifest field of all possibilities, but I didn't go because the time doesn't allow, and how the unmanifest manifests. And what you will find in the book is that one of the key factors in the process of manifestation that actually lead to manifestation is freedom. Freedom of the individual perspectives to be what they are as individual entities rather than purely the unbounded ocean of consciousness. So it is the ocean of consciousness that creates the waves. So imagine there is a big ocean and there are the waves. And so the ocean is settled in its depths. And as you go up and up, you have more and more excitation. On the surface of the ocean, you have the waves. And these individual waves, of course, the analogy stops here in a sense, they have their own freedom. And we are those waves, the atoms are those waves on a limited level, the different values of reality are on a different level. And based on their understanding, based on the quality of their consciousness, on their connectedness with the source, they have either limited or broad ability to understand and make the right decisions. And therefore, there is possibilities of clashing, of violence because of lack of knowledge, because lack of understanding, because of lower consciousness. And therefore, the outer value of seeing the things from the surface creates a sense of duality, and duality is a source of fear because the other can take away what I have, or the other cannot allow me to live my principles and my life. And so you get into these phenomena which create possibilities for violence. And if action is against the laws of nature, then there is, as you sow, so shall you reap. That is a law of nature also, action and reaction. And therefore, one gets oneself into these vicious circles of violence, and then things happen that are not fulfilling. And that is what needs to be arrested and stopped by going back to the source and going back to consciousness, awareness, broadening one's awareness, and having a better decision making so one doesn't create the wrong things in order to get the wrong results and find oneself in situations of violence and complications. Now, consciousness is metaphysical in a sense, yes, it is, but As we go to the reality of the physical, we find that it is made out of a field. So matter is made out of energy. Energy is made of energy fields. The different fields are being more and more unified. So even on the physical level, we find that on the physical analysis of the source of the physical, we find that one field is the reality. So one step more takes us to this level of consciousness that actually makes our physical body patterns and modes of consciousness. Now, this is a very complex and complicated, I have to admit, concept if we look at it just like that. Like the body, what is the body? The body is made out of molecules, molecules made out of atoms, atoms made out of particles. What are the particles? The particles are fluctuations and excitations of fields of energy. And the fields of energy are themselves unified on a deeper level. So if you go to the source of the reality of things, you find a unified value. What we are saying is just one step more. It's not like a huge step. It's one step that this field is consciousness. Now, it appears in all these different layers, and these layers on their own are real. It's like you have a bracelet that is made out of gold. You have a ring that is made out of gold. You have a necklace that is made out of gold. You have a statue that is made out of gold. They are different, but they are all gold. So there is no contradiction. The fact that the statue or the bracelet are different from the ring, they are different, but their essence is the same. It's gold. It's just made out of gold. So that's what we are saying. We're not negating the differences on the surface, and we're not negating the fact that you can melt the bracelet and make it into a necklace. The same gold can look different, can be different. And therefore, if the necklace is also distorted, you can fix it on the surface. So as a doctor, we can fix things on the surface. It's not negation of that aspect of reality and the need to work on that level of reality, but it is an acknowledgement of the essence that is at the basis of all that is on the surface. And if we are not in touch with that essence, if we lose the reality that is at the essence and we start acting on the surface, then we are lost into considerations and differences that can create problems, which can be fixed on the surface, but can also be fixed from the essential value of the value that upholds and maintains other values.